what's up, Eagles fans? It's EROCK, and the NFL draft is only a couple days away. It is right around the corner, literally one of the most exciting times in the NFL calendar, and I am certainly pumped for it. But inevitably, annually, like clockwork, when Philly Sports Talk Radio or on television is discussing the Eagles and the NFL draft, inevitably Donovan McNabb's name is going to be brought up. And usually it's because of that 1999 draft where he got booed on draft day. But this time it's for a little bit different of a reason. And it's because of some quotes he made about Carson Wentz. And I'm sure you've heard them already, but I'll summarize. Basically, he said that if Carson Wentz does not make it out of the second round of the playoffs in the next 2 years, the Eagles should look at the possibility of exploring different options because he has questions about his durability. Now, before I get into breaking down that particular comment, because as many of you might be surprised, as much of a staunch Wentz supporter as I am, as much as I cape for the guy, as much as I am a Wentz stan, I partially agree with Donovan. Partially, not fully, but partially agree with Donovan and don't really see anything particularly wrong that he said. But before I get into breaking down that comment, I just want to discuss Donovan McNabb in general. Because I know that there is a differing opinion amongst local fans as opposed to national fans. And I'm not trying to put them into two different classes or say that one's better than the other. All I want to do here is highlight the fact that there is differing opinions in Philadelphia versus outside of Philadelphia. Because inside of Philadelphia, Donovan McNabb is kind of looked at like, you know when you see somebody at a party and you know them and you're like, hey man, what's going on? Hey, good to see you. How's the wife and kids? Good? All right, good. Hey, I'll check you later. And as soon as they turn around, you're like, this fucking guy. That's Donovan McNabb in the eyes of Philadelphia. He's respected, but not well liked. And I've heard local sports talk radio talk about it, on NBC Sports Philadelphia talk about it, and every time that somebody talks about it, they run into the same problem that I will have trying to articulate this opinion, which is you can't quite put your finger on why. It's a very complex issue when it comes to the Philadelphia fan and Donovan McNabb. And it shouldn't be, because Donovan is the greatest quarterback in franchise history. I know a lot of you will argue that it's Nick Foles, and I'm not here to argue with you. But for me, I compartmentalize the two, because to me, it's apples and oranges. Donovan McNabb is the most successful quarterback in franchise history. The greatest quarterback in franchise history, because he has all the records, the longevity that he was with the team. That was kind of like the golden, I don't want to say the gold standard, but that was like the golden era of the height of the popularity of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Eagles, for that like 10-year, 9-year span that he was with the team. Donovan McNabb is the greatest quarterback in franchise history. Nick Foles is the most accomplished quarterback in franchise history. Obviously, Super Bowl 52 finally brought home the Lombardi Trophy to Philadelphia. Dude's got two different uniforms sitting in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and you know the league record for touchdown passes thrown in a game. Donovan McNabb, for me, at least in my opinion, greatest quarterback in franchise history. Nick Foles, most accomplished quarterback in franchise history. But I digress. It shouldn't be like this with Donovan, but it is. And Donovan, it's both the fans' fault and it's Donovan's fault. Because right off the get, we got off on a bad foot with this guy. I do wonder that if Angelo didn't send the Dirty 30 up to Radio City Music Hall when the Eagles had the second overall pick and they wanted we want Ricky Williams, and that then in turn when Donovan's name was announced, the Eagles fans started to boo. I wonder if we didn't get off to that kind of foot, if the relationship between that quarterback and this fan base would be different. I do honestly wonder that. And Donovan is certainly not the type of guy to let that kind of thing go. And I know a lot of you will say, hey, Donovan just needs to get over it. Donovan just needs to get over it. Bro, he goes up to the draft. This is supposed to be the best moment in this man's life. He's worked every moment of his life, from Pee Wee football to college football, has been working for this moment. And whether or not you wanted Ricky Williams is neither here nor there. When that man's name got called, he heard a rain of boos. You try forgiving that. You try letting that go. For all the people saying Donovan just needs to let it go, I guarantee you those individuals, if they look at the grudges, the petty little grudges that they've held in their lives, me included, I've held bigger grudges for much less. All right? So just, does Donovan need to let it go? Yeah, but is it a reasonable human expectation to expect him to? Not really. Donovan didn't hate to lose like we hated to lose. Donovan could have a 3-interception game and be down by 2 touchdowns, and the game's pretty much in hand, and he's smiling on the sidelines. That shit drove us bananas. Donovan McNabb could throw a pick and then smile afterwards, and that infuriated us. Donovan McNabb never took responsibility. Maybe responsibility is too strong of a word. Maybe he never acknowledged his shortcomings. Maybe he never said, I never remember Donovan McNabb ever saying, you know what, I could have done more during those NFC Championship games. You know, it was more along the lines of, hey, when everybody wins, it's because of the quarterback. When everybody loses, it's because of the quarterback. It's a team game. You know what I mean? It's like that constant passive aggressiveness of his attitude. And it's funny, too, because here's a guy who, like, broke his ankle on the field, goes right back out there. Why aren't we celebrating that? You know what I mean? Why isn't he remembered for that? You know, here's a guy who said all the right things at the podium, albeit they felt forced and phony. Here's a guy who never got in trouble off the field when he was on the field. Obviously, we know what, fucking Arizona and all that shit. But he kept his nose clean. He said the right things. He toughened up when he wanted to toughen up, or had to toughen up. But just mentally, I don't think he was tough enough for this city. I mean, it's the fans' fault and it's Donovan's fault. Does that make sense? I'll be curious. Please leave your comments down in the comments section below, and kind of give me your overall general view about Donovan. Try to take the emotion of these most recent comments out of it, but just because I'll be curious, like when I was banging out YouTube videos like the jump cut black and whites religiously, I remember like Donovan McNabb retirement night. I made a goof video about Donovan, and like all the local people got it. All the local people had a chuckle out of it. The national people were like, EROCK, this is the worst video you've ever made. I hate this video. How could you say such things about Donovan McNabb? And so it was weird when I say there's a differing opinion. It's not from a place of just observation. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen it firsthand. So please leave your comments below. Let me know of, kind of in market, out of market, and what's your overall opinion of Donovan McNabb. Now, going into the comments, the comment that he made, I don't necessarily disagree with him. And quite honestly, I feel like if it was a different messenger, it wouldn't be received as negatively as it has been by the fan base. Let's think about what he said. If Carson Wentz struggles or does not get out of struggles, I don't want to use the word struggles. If Donovan McNabb, if Carson Wentz does not get out of the second round of the playoffs in the next 2 seasons, the Eagles should look into the possibility, and use the word possibility, of looking elsewhere. To me, that's a bit silly. I mean, if that were the case, the Chargers should have moved on from Phillip Rivers years ago. The Lions should have moved on from Matthew Stafford years ago. Because those guys barely even they're great quarterbacks. Good quarterbacks don't necessarily get to the playoffs and have playoff success. I mean, this is just a known thing in the NFL. So that I find kind of silly. On top of the fact, there's an added layer to this that 2 years from now, playoffs or no playoffs, for better or for worse, Carson Wentz is going to be signed long term. You know, they let Nick Foles walk. They have no other option at quarterback on the roster as far as a starting caliber quarterback. They've invested so much to even get this guy. They've seen what he can do on the field. He's proven a lot of what he has to prove. His ceiling is so high that regardless of whether or not the Eagles make the playoffs in the next 2 years, he's going to be here. So to say that they should look at possibilities because of playoff success, in that respect, I don't necessarily agree with them there. But I will say this, as far as the fans go, like, I know you guys had a negative reaction to that comment. Trust me, let's be 100 right now. Don't even think about it in 2 years. Think about it the first 2 months. After the first 2 months of the season. I know this fan base. I know how you guys get. If he's having the same first 2 months of the 2019 season as he did the 2018 season, people are going to be calling for this guy's head. I know this fan base. I'm not saying they're right, but I know what's going to happen from a lot of them. Not all of them. I'm certainly not saying that that's the most intelligent take, but, you know, giving somebody 2 years, pretty generous in this particular market. Let's be honest here. The other comment he made and kind of the follow-up about it was like the durability issue. That I agree wholeheartedly with. And again, I cape for McNabb or cape for Wentz. I stand for Wentz. I'm a staunch Wentz supporter. But let's be honest here. If we look back at the end of the 2021 season and we turn around and Carson Wentz has not stayed healthy for 4 consecutive years, abso-fucking-lutely, it's time to explore other options. It just is. Think about a total of 4 years, and if they don't get out of the playoffs or in the second round or don't even make it to the playoffs, all because Carson Wentz can't stay healthy. If you think that you're not going to turn around and be like, yo, we got to figure this shit out because this Carson thing ain't working out, you're fooling yourself. That'd be 4 consecutive years without finishing a season. I mean, I love Wentz, but if that's the case, that ain't good enough. That ain't good enough for any franchise. And they're going to have to explore other options. Again, he's going to be under the contract long-term regardless, but I would much rather have, 2 years of getting bounced in the playoffs in the second round than 2 more years of Carson Wentz being injured, because then I know that guy is toast. That he is not our future. So it's a weird thing to be talking about a couple days before the draft. Eagles fans, I would advise you this. If there's a lesson to be learned in this particular set of comments from a former quarterback to our current quarterback, I would say this. Eagles fans, let's not make the same mistake that we made with Donovan McNabb with Carson Wentz. Let's give this up because the best thing that ever happened to Carson was how do I word this? Putting the team in position to go to the Super Bowl. The worst thing to happen to Carson Wentz is that Nick Foles won the Super Bowl. Because now, unlike Donovan McNabb's early part in his career, all you hear now is Carson better win a Super Bowl. Carson, Nick Foles because he won a Super Bowl. Carson, Super Bowl. This guy's got more expectations on him and more pressure on him right now than Donovan ever had in year 4. Year 4, by the way, making NFC Championship games, so on and so forth. Carson Wentz right now has more pressure on him, and the relationship between that Donovan McNabb and the city of Philadelphia was ruined almost right off the get. And whereas Carson was received better by the fans of Philadelphia initially, a lot of people have soured on him. Give it time. Let's not make the same mistake with Carson Wentz that we did with Donovan McNabb. Okay? For all those attending the Eagles draft party at Lincoln Financial Field, I will see you there. The whole 4th and John squad will see you there. A lot of the tailgate regulars will see you there. So I am super excited about that. We'll be doing live periscopes. So follow us at 4th and John, at the Mighty EROCK. We'll be going live, doing as much fun content as we can as you guys are watching the draft wherever you might be. We'll be going live from Lincoln Financial Field. So until Thursday, let's go Birds, and I will see you at the draft.